Hello again, welcome back. This is the Lemon Tarot, and I think I'm going to switch things up a little bit for today. There have been some very pressing issues taking place within the media, and I just kind of want to address what's going on. So currently in the United Kingdom, there's a massive row, a big issue, a big massive problem with current government, and this is, of course, led by the Labour Party with Sir Keir Starmer as the Labour leader. He is arguably the most repulsive, well, widely and adamantly reviled Prime Minister in the history of the country, in the history of Prime Ministers in general. And the current situation that's unfolding with the United Kingdom is bringing everything to a bit of a head. Especially after the local elections last Thursday, where over 1,000 seats were completely removed from the Labour Party amongst the councillors and the constituencies around the whole of the country. So what I want to do right now, of course, is look into the current situation as to what has taken place and where the Labour Party is going from here on out. I think there's been a lot of news that's been circulating around saying that there's a very dire situation. And from what I see here with the cards that I've laid out today, this seems to be the case. Now, before I get started, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. Feel free to support the channel in any way, shape, or form possible. Now, that said, I'm going to go ahead and just start with the basics. We're going to be using the steampunk Lenormand because, of course, we are going to be talking about the machine and all of its components today. And that machine is, of course, Westminster and what's going on with the madness that has besieged this country. Taking a look at what has taken shape. I won't go into too many details because, of course, you've got YouTube, you've got the internet. You can research the situation for yourself, but the too long didn't read version is that things have gotten really bad in the UK based on the current leadership. Even the previous party that led the whole country, which is Conservatives, the whole duopoly of parties that have traditionally ruled this country for such a long time is now given way to new people rising up and creating change for better or worse, within their new constituencies. Those would be the Reform and Green parties. Reform being on the right, Greens being on the left. You could say far right and far left, but that's really up for personal interpretation, basically, after you look at the party manifesto and see how those kind of histories have emerged that have led to the current situation. Now, when I think about the Labour Party, the first card that I drew from the Lenormand was the ring. It's card number 25. 2 being the number of partnership, 5 being the number of change. So this is going to be a partnership that Labour are going to undergo that's going to irrevocably change everything. 2 + 5 = 7. That's the number of dissolution. Number 7 being related to the 7 of Cups, 7 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, and the 7 of Swords. So with the number of dissolution, things becoming confusing, that is precisely where the Labour Party is at this current moment. Now, although we do have the ring here, the ring symbolizes commitment. And I think the gem that is in this ring is black obsidian. And as I said before, I carry my own black obsidian here next to my altar, or I guess my workstation, if you want to call it that. And what this represents to me is that there is going to be a commitment from the universe itself to bring about justice, to remove the negativity, and to purge the forces that have been leading this country for such a long time. Well, last 2 years, but when I speak of such a long time, it's the cumulative succession of governments that have brought us to this current malady that we face. Now, this could also tell us about a government that is going to be unflinchingly stubborn until the very last end. But there is hope, and I'll get into that in just a second. Because what you also see with this card are all the cogs right here. These are all the people, the relationships being, distributed across this political spectrum. In addition, the time limit that has befallen this government up to date. So what I see here, when I look at this, I don't see this as a card of this Labour Party is going to be committed to its cause until the very end. I see that it is only a matter of time before the left hand of God, and you know what that is, finally steps in and rectifies the situation. That's what I get from that, because normally with a marriage, you would say it's a diamond in the middle of it. This is a black obsidian. And obsidian is, of course, the stone of Samael. In addition, it is a stone that communicates removing, purging forces of man that have outlived their time and are no longer required in this cosmic order. So, what we do, we start with the first card. We are in the suspension tank, which is the Hangman in the reverse. And what this tells us about is a man, a figure, strong Piscean influence. So I know Keir Starmer is a Libra, and that is his emphasis and his focus on justice and the rule of law and things of that nature. That also represents him being a lawyer. But I don't know if his moon or his rising is in Pisces, or if he has a strong Pisces chart. But that is where his delusion comes from. And he's going to remain in that. He has been remaining in that for quite some time. But additionally, we're going to find that he's going to double down on that as things progress. And we have, with this, the Seven of Cups in the reverse. Sometimes the Seven of Cups in the reverse can tell us about clearing the fog and moving things forward, but I don't see it that way in this particular reading. Please clarify. We have the Four of Wands. What he wants to do, and in his mind, is he wants to move Britain forward into a new age. And that age is the age of Blairism under his watch. I see this as a person who deeply thinks that they're making a difference in human society by bringing tolerance and fairness, which is what he espouses a lot of times in his speeches. But there is a delusionary and a very self-righteous and misguided approach to doing so. And not getting into conspiracy theories or like that, it's just going to be the way he presents himself is the Hangman in the reverse. He is dead set on not changing his mind in order to exact this, which is the Seven of Cups and the Four of Wands. He's celebrating this chaos, and that can be quite a bit of a very narcissistic way of approaching things. Let me quickly look at this further. Yeah. The reason why is because in all of this is the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. His his goal is to tank the economy and to destroy the stability and the legacy that Great Britain has created. And with the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse, it's almost like he's celebrating the death of the United Kingdom. That is his goal. That is his end game, I would assume, just based on what the cards are saying. I personally don't know what his motives are, but I'm just reading what the cards are saying, you know. So hopefully I don't get a 2 a.m. knock at the door saying that I'm going to prison for 31 months because of a tarot card reading. Anyways, that said, we then move on to what's currently going on in the party of Labour. We have the King of Wands in the reverse. This is a dictatorial individual. This is a person who fails to exhibit any kind of strong leadership skills, which we are aware of based on news reports and things that have taken place in the recent past. And additionally, it's a person who is a tyrant. And again, this is what I drew from the cards, from the deck. We also see, because his back is against the ropes, that's the reason why all of this is taking place. So he's, in his mind, he wants to double down on everything so that he can appear strong to his party that remains, because the elections have decimated his confidence. That can also be another thing. He also has the Six of Cups in the reverse. With the Six of Cups in the reverse, this is a person who is very bitter about the past. He feels that he's doing something right, but when it comes to the elections and the fact that he's lost so many seats across the country and that the Labour Party is basically on it's on death's door, he takes it personally in a solipsistic way, which is he is morally inclined to fight harder for an agenda that no one else wants. So it's all within the space of his mind, the personal universe that he has created. He's trying to project that onto the world at large. And personally, I don't think that that is going to go well with the British public, as it hasn't been to date. Clarify more. Clarify more. Yeah. Five of Swords in the reverse. He feels that he wants to win at all costs, but it's not going to be possible. Five of Swords in the reverse. When you have it in the upright, it basically says to people that I'm willing to fight to the bitter end to get what I want. With the Five of Swords in the reverse, that's not going to be possible. That's giving up the fight. I'll clarify this Five of Swords. Please clarify the Five of Swords. Ace of Wands in the reverse. So something is going to make him lose steam. In this fight, now that he knows that he's lost quite a few seats, and now that he knows that he has a coup amongst him, he's going to just lose interest. I feel like he's just going to give up the fight. When you have the Five of Swords in the reverse and the Ace of Cups in the reverse, that tells us the person has just stopped. They've given up. It's like the Seven of Wands in the reverse. He feels upset. His back is against the wall. He's like a cornered jackal at this particular moment. And by doubling down and trying his best to act in a dictatorial manner, it's actually going to tire him out even more. Because what we have here, when we look at the Five of Swords as well, that is internal division as well. That is where the coup is taking place. The Five of Swords is fighting against opponents from the outside. Five of Swords can be internal conflict or fighting within a group or an organization. So you will see people potentially launch leadership roles, although I don't think many people in the Labour Party want to lose their positions or their seats or that 80k delicious salary that they get every year. Moving forward, we have moving forward the Six of Swords. there's going to be a message which comes from the Page of Pentacles. It could be a resignation message. But when I get these two cards, we have the Page of Pentacles and the World card. That means that something is coming to a completion, and that, coupled with the Six of Swords, that means that someone is moving on, moving forward. Something is coming to an end, and it's going to be delivered in a message to the public, possibly to him, and it's going to come from a person who is a King of Cups. When we have a King of Cups here, this is a person that is morally mature and emotionally mature. There's maybe an outside influence that tells him to step down, to hand in his resignation, or it could be an authority above him that tells him that he's no longer fit to rule. And in doing this, we can clarify a little bit more. Clarify the King of Cups. Clarify the King of Cups. So again, we have more cards that talk about communication. This is going to be the Eight of Wands. This King of Cups is going to deliver a message swiftly to Prime Minister and Labour Party. And it's going to hit hard. And it's going to tell him the message that he needs to move on. He needs to resign. He needs to go. So with all the powers of the dictatorship that he wants to enact upon his own party to prevent the hemorrhaging and the losses, the pressure is going to become too much. What is going to take place in the near future? Yeah. In the near future, we have the Chariot, which is a card that tells us a little bit about moving forward or things changing rapidly. I don't see this as moving towards progress. I see this moving from one situation to another, leaving the comfort of the familiarity that they have created. And then we have the Queen of Cups in the reverse. This is a person that is very unfeeling, not connected to their emotions, completely disconnected. I almost feel like there's going to be like a disimpassioned speech that comes about that informs the public that leadership is stepping down. I think this is going to take place, personally, because the current pressure that is mounting on the government is going to be more than what the government thought it could handle in enacting its agenda. There are people who want to launch leadership challenges, and then there is the public that is completely angry, and then there's the death of the Labour Party. I think one thing that will have to happen is a sense of intervention in all of this. Perhaps the Prime Minister may never want to relinquish his power, but there is a kind of sadness in doing this because it's all him. It's like the rest of the party is dying off, and it just makes them deeply more unpopular. So potentially, for the sake of the health and the well-being of the party, he may be asked to resign. And what we see coming at the end of all of this, we have the Hierophant in the reverse. Now, the Hierophant in the reverse can be a rebellion, so that could indicate a rebellion amongst a political organization, which is also what the Hierophant represents. The Hierophant in the upright is a massive organization. So sometimes it's a corporation, it's a political party, whatnot, but it's one that orchestrates things that work towards the people that it serves. The Hierophant in the reverse, there's a mutiny. I think, based on the cards, there's going to be a mutiny in the party. Someone will come forward. This King of Cups is going to come forward, and they're going to try to unseat the person in control, Keir Starmer. We then have the Four of Swords, which is rest, recuperation, and healing. Lovers in the reverse, which is a disconnect, a detachment. Someone is leaving. The party is going to dissolve. We had the number 25 in the beginning, and that tells us a lot about the dissolution. It is only a matter of time before justice is enacted and served. And as the sun runs through the hourglass, we're going to see exactly what kind of power the people in control have. Clarify the outcome one more time. Clarify the outcome once again. Now, we have temperance in the reverse, which is growing impatience for this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, a time in which the world can come back to a period of homeostasis where they are financially and materially stabilized. The UK cannot continue as it has. There is going to be a growing level of impatience and a bit of disarray that comes in order to make that Queen of Pentacles come to the forefront. I honestly, if I had to intuitively look at this, I would say that this is going to be within a matter of a month. There's not going to be much of a Labour Party left. There's going to be a lot of infighting. There's going to be a mutiny. There's going to be, like this Hierophant in the reverse, the collapse of this organization. There have politically, throughout the ages, been many parties that even at their height, when they faced repercussions of their actions, they lost everything. They lost their wars and they lost their support base, only for things to just kind of fade into the dustbin of history. And I think that this is the way that this party is going. Now, I'm reading the cards and what they show me and where this is all going to lead. I feel that under this current leadership, there has been a joke that comes about. The Labour Party was founded by Keir Hardie, and it's going to end with Keir Starmer. 100 years of reign, so 1910s, 1920s, and then 2026, it's no more. Now, if I have to go off on my own tangent, I would say that because we're dealing with a party that has lost its working class roots, for the liberal left in Islington and this demented vision that it has for the country, I feel that things are rectifying themselves by giving more inclusivity, but in a way that is inclusive of the entire country. When you impose your ideas, your belief systems onto an entire country and agendas, you get this. You get what the United Kingdom is facing right now, especially when those agendas may or may not be influenced by powers outside the country. Now, I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to go off on any rants or tirades and get flagged. But those are what the cards are saying to me. That is the message. Again, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. We will see what comes to pass. I don't claim to know everything, but I do also know that the cards don't lie. So thank you. Till next time, love and light.